Deaths from opiate overdoses are falling drastically in states that have legalized marijuana. We've been following Jeff Sessions and the Justice Department's promise to crack down on marijuana and on states that have already decided to legalize it, because, of course, states' rights don't matter to Republicans if they don't want you legalizing weed. Meanwhile, we're actually seeing marijuana legislation, legalization legislation, having a positive impact on drug overdoses. And it's also having a positive financial impact for states that have legalized. According to a new study by UC San Diego, which was published in a journal called Drug and Alcohol Dependence, states that have legalized marijuana have had fewer. Well, number one, they're not having marijuana-related emergency room visits. So those scare tactics about people are going to OD, you're going to have emergency rooms filled with people on marijuana, that hasn't happening. That hasn't been happening. But we're also seeing fewer people on opiates come into emergency rooms. And on average, in states that have legalized weed, hospitals have seen a 23% decline in patients seeking opiate addiction treatment. And there's been a 13% decline in opioid overdoses. This is the fifth recent study to show drops in opiate addiction in states that have legalized marijuana. It's not one study that says this. In response to the study, Dr. Esther Chu, who's an emergency medicine professor at Oregon Health and Science University, said, quote, "It is becoming increasingly clear that battling the opioid epidemic will require a multi-pronged approach and a good deal of creativity. Could increased liberalization of marijuana be part of the solution? It seems plausible." There's a 2014 study which found a 25% drop in opioid overdose deaths in states with legal medical marijuana, and we're now seeing the same impact with legal recreational marijuana. As a reminder, an alternative view on marijuana legalization, Jeff Sessions said last month in Richmond, Virginia, the Attorney General of the United States, "I'm astonished to hear people suggest that we can solve our heroin crisis by legalizing marijuana so people can trade one life-wrecking dependency on another." Jeff Sessions has also said that marijuana is only slightly less awful than heroin. On a saner note, Democratic Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri is leading an investigation of the manufacturers of the top 5 prescription opioid medications in the U.S., and they want to explore how these companies have contributed to opioid overutilization and overprescription. There's nothing surprising in the data.
No.
Nothing surprising at all. What I continue to be shocked by is people who think that marijuana and heroin are in any way the same thing in terms of the damage they cause or the way that they function in the body or anything at all, period. And number two, the idea that anything approximating the war on drugs is going to be good in any sense, incarceration, health outcomes, anything. How does anybody still believe that at this point? I don't get it.
And what's the top argument against legalizing marijuana? That marijuana is a gateway drug and it will cause people to move on to opiates and heroin once they get sick or tired of using marijuana. These studies kind of show the opposite, don't
Absolutely.
they?
Absolutely, they do. And, you know, I don't know how much people know about this, but it's very common that people who ultimately get addicted to heroin, it starts with a legitimate prescription for opiate painkillers, often overprescribed and addictive by nature, even if properly prescribed. People say, well, I need more of these. My prescription's out. I'm going to go buy painkillers on the street. Then they realize, oh, the heroin is cheaper than the painkillers. It's a disaster. It is an absolute and total disaster. And I'm glad that this research is being done.